The most polarizing play in football right now is the tush push or the brotherly shove. Whatever you want to call it, everyone has a very, very strong opinion about it. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you think it should be allowed or should it be banned? Well,
it's not that simple.
What?
To truly understand the tush push and its history, we have to go all the way back to the 1930s and start with the QB sneak. But first, thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring today's video. The weather may be starting to cool down, it's starting to get cold outside, but the action on the field is still hot. And today we've partnered up with DraftKings, an official partner of the NFL, to keep you in on the action. Right now, new customers who bet $5 get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use our code JDPROD. If you're already signed up for DraftKings, like me, you can get a no sweat bet. Get a bonus bet back if your same game parlay or same game parlay X doesn't hit. If you like multiple teams and want to bet on all of them, you can combine those bets together for an even bigger payout. And if sports betting isn't yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still get in on all the action with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports. Download the DraftKings app now. New customers use our code JDPROD, bet $5 on any wager, and get $150 in bonus bets back instantly. That's promo code JDPROD only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Thank you again to DraftKings, and let's get right back to the video. Now, it was always in the game, but it wasn't always popular until the George Halas Bears and Hall of Fame quarterback Sid Luckman had a bunch of success with it. So the sneak has been around for a very long time, clearly, but it's actually only gotten more and more popular, especially in recent seasons, as it should. Teams have started to figure out more and more that the QB sneak is just a high percentage play. If it's only a yard or a couple of inches, you should probably QB sneak. They've been successful 85.9% of the time, and truly nobody was better at it in their career than Tom Brady, which is a little surprising because when you look at the tush push and Jalen Hurts, you have this huge dude that can lift a lot and is this absolute ox. Tom Brady wasn't that. He was this not huge guy. He was taller, but not exactly stout, and he was pretty much better than anybody was. Now, also to be fair, Bill Belichick has had just a ton of success before and after Brady when it has come to sneaks, if only the same was for on the field product. Drew Bledsoe was also great at sneaks, but Tom Brady really will go down in history as probably the best guy at QB sneaks ever. He converted 124 QB sneaks, which is the most ever, and had a conversion rate of 90.5%, which is the second highest ever behind only David Garrard, which is super random. But Brady was actually converting these sneaks at a higher rate than even the Eagles have been doing the tush push, and there was never any thought to ban it then. Cam Newton is the only other player with 100 or more at 108, and it's really not too difficult to see why Cam Newton was so successful. We're talking about a guy that's 6'5", 245 pounds. He's huge. I mean, when you're that big, it's going to be easier because he can do the pushing. He can get through the pile, and obviously the same thing goes for Jalen Hurts when it comes to the tush push. Now, still, there are a lot of other components, and it really doesn't always matter just how big you are. Tom Brady and Cam Newton have the most sneaks ever. But then after that, it's the smaller Drew Brees, a bigger guy in Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and then, of course, Super Bowl MVP, Joe Flacco. You see, even the QB sneaks, though, haven't always worked for everyone. Some teams haven't even done it too often. Aaron Rodgers, just in his career, has not done many QB sneaks. It hasn't been ever a focal point. And then Patrick Mahomes hasn't had a sneak since 2019. If you remember, he suffered that knee injury on a QB sneak, and since then, he hasn't had a single one, and that's probably a good call. It's a play where you are putting your quarterback unnecessarily in harm's way. It's a very, very physical, tough play, and the last thing you want to do is lose your star quarterback. Now, I really do think maybe the Commanders have found a bit of a workaround for that. Obviously, I'm a Washington fan, but this kind of surprised me. Instead of having Sam Howell come out and take like the tush push snap, now he's not a huge guy himself. He's tough, but he ain't huge. It's actually been Logan Thomas. I mean, he was a quarterback at Virginia Tech. Go Hokies, but he can take a snap really well. Obviously, he did it a ton in college. He came into the NFL as a quarterback, so you're not too worried about the snap there. And he's just a bigger, huge guy who can probably push forward a lot better than Sam Howell actually can. So that might be a kind of a cool, smart workaround that they've figured out there. Now, the NFL is truly a copycat league, and everybody knows that. And since the Eagles have truly popularized the tush push under Nick Sirianni, we've kind of seen teams just everywhere pop up and do it. Now, I don't know where the original idea really came from to do it in this way. Of course, Nick Sirianni has done it a ton in Philadelphia, but before that, we didn't exactly see it with Doug Peterson. We've never seen really much of this before at all. Now, all of a sudden, no matter if you're watching on Sunday or you're watching college football on Saturdays, you're probably going to see the tush push come out. I mean, we've been seeing some fake tush pushes even. Of course, no one's done it as good as the Eagles have. Whenever they need a yard or even more, if it's just a few more, they just resort to the tush push, and it usually works. Sometimes they'll run it on third down, not quite get there, and decide they're going to do it on fourth too, and it works. It works. So why wouldn't they keep doing it? There is a lot of outrage of whether or not it should be allowed, but for now, it is fair under the rules. Back in 2005, the NFL removed any language in the rule book that pretty much didn't allow pushing offensive players forward. We see all the time a running back running through and then the offensive lineman come behind and just push him for some extra yardage. Before that wasn't allowed. Now it is, and essentially that's exactly what the Eagles have been doing with Jalen Hurts, and the league, well, a lot of people definitely don't like it. Coaches and others have complained, and I do think that's fair, but it also hasn't worked for everyone. The NFL has also gotten really strict, and especially watching the Eagles, if any offensive lineman is offsides, they've been calling that, especially a ton in recent weeks. They've been watching that helmet, seeing if they're peering over the ball at all, and we're starting to see that, and I think that's probably the league saying, hey, if we want to cut down on some of these, we need to be a little bit more harsh. So that's what they've been doing. You also can't pull a player forward. You can push them from behind, but you can't pull a player forward. I couldn't find it, but I want to say there was a time this season where Dallas Goedert was actually pulling Jalen Hurts a little bit, and they flagged it, and that was a penalty on the Eagles. Obviously, they ended up having punt or settle for a field goal or whatever because of that. But the NFL is definitely trying to crack down on these tush pushes. I don't know if that's because so many people have complained, fans complaining, whatever, but I think when you really look at it, you have to understand that it's really only been Philadelphia that has seen a ton of success with it. So why is that? Well, for one, Jalen Hurts can squat like 600 pounds. He's not a normal quarterback. We're not talking about Sam Howell or Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers. This guy is huge. He can squat like 600 pounds. He's an absolute beast. And of course, that is going to help most of the time. He is going to be more physically able to push himself forward. He can churn forward better than most quarterbacks in the league could. So that already makes more sense of why the Eagles have more success, but that's probably not the biggest one. Then there's the offensive line. It's not exactly a secret that the Eagles have had one of the best lines in football for the past couple of seasons. When you have Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelce, and Lane Johnson pushing forward, it'll probably be a lot easier. That's probably why the Eagles were 37 of 41 last season during their Super Bowl run. There are obviously a lot of frustrations when it comes to the tush push, and I would say pretty much all of those are directed towards the Eagles. And because of that, I'd really argue that the tush push play inherently isn't bad or some cheat code. If 32 teams were all doing it and having a ton of success with it, then yes, I would understand a lot of the outrage, and it'd be unfair because it would essentially make these 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1s completely obsolete, but that hasn't been the case. A lot of teams haven't been able to do it right, or they just get stopped, and the Eagles are just better at it. And I think when you look at their roster, when you look at Jalen Hurts, when you look at that offensive line, you understand that this team is perfectly built for this play, and that is why it works so well for Philadelphia. And it works a lot. Even then, it doesn't work all of the time. Washington stopped it when Jalen Hurts fumbled, and then Vita Vea essentially single-handedly stopped it once this season too, and we're starting to see teams really look in to stop this play and figuring out how they can do it. I highly recommend going and watching Brett Coleman's video about the tush push if you want to kind of understand a little bit more of how teams are trying to adapt, what they're trying to do to actually stop this. But there are real ways to stop teams from doing the tush push, and they're starting to figure that out. But it does seem just dumb or unfair to ban a play that is truly only considered a guaranteed first down for one team, not the other 31. Of course, if injuries become an issue because of how physical the play is, then I think that would be fair. The league gets softer day by day, we know that, and they're always trying to limit injuries. So of course, if we're seeing a lot more injuries with this, then that's fair. But I think that's really the only way I can see it getting banned. Otherwise, let them play, man. I truly do think the tush push is good. This isn't something that should be banned. You're probably just mad that your favorite team can't do it as well, because trust me, as a Washington fan that has to see the tush push team twice a year, I can't stand it when they come out because you know they're gonna get it, and we just keep losing to them anyway. It's a frustrating play, I get it, but the reality is that the Eagles can do it to perfection. You don't see the Chiefs going out there and doing this every Sunday. It's an Eagles thing, not a play thing. Hey, thanks for sticking to the end of the video. Let me know what you guys think of the tush push. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, obviously. I feel like I have some pretty strong opinions. I hate the Eagles. They're probably my least favorite team in football. If it's not the Cowboys, it's the Eagles. Can't stand them, but look, this play is just something that they figured out to do perfect. I don't think it's a league-wide issue. I think it's just something that a lot of people have gotten mad at for kind of no reason at all. So let me know what you think of the tush push. Is it a cheating play? Do you think it should be banned? Whatever. If you don't already, make sure you follow us on social media at JDProdNFL and follow me on social media as well, Instagram, Twitter at DIIDLAKE. DM me, hit me with some of your takes, tweet at me, whatever. Always love interacting with you guys. We appreciate all the support recently, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.